So it is come and gone. 2016 is over, and it has been a pretty bad year as far as deaths and all that stuff, but it has actually been a pretty good year as far as cinema. I have seen a lot of tremendous movies. Don't get me wrong, there have been a lot of stinkers and a lot of movies that didn't live up to the hype or what they should have been, and expectations were. But I saw a lot of movies, and I was able to cultivate a list of 10 that were my personal favorites for the entire year. Let me reiterate, this is my personal list. I'm not ranking these movies based on critics' views, based on how I think that they're going to do in the Oscars. It's based on my overall enjoyment in the theaters, how many times I've seen it, all sorts of things. So here we go, let's get started. Alright, so as I said, 2016 was a great year for movies, and I have a lot of movies that I liked throughout the year, but obviously 10 wasn't enough. So I have a list of honorable mentions that I'm going to cheat, and I'm just going to straight up read them off my list. So we have Office Christmas Party, Bad Moms, Apocalypse. I almost said Apocalypse Now. X-Men Apocalypse, The Shallows, Sausage Party, Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, Loving, Doctor Strange, Keanu, Don't Breathe, Moana, Nocturnal Animals, The Accountant, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Finding Dory, The Lobster, Green Room, Jungle Book, 10 Cloverfield Lane, Moonlight, and Rogue One. So close. But without further ado, let's get started. At number 10, we have Sing Street. And this movie's on Netflix, so I was able to see it twice now. I haven't bought it yet, but I've heard a lot of great stuff about it from Screen Junkies. They kept praising it all throughout the summer, like Sing Street, we need to see Sing Street. Probably going to be my favorite movie of the year, they were saying. And I was like, I don't know what it's about. The songs are great, the characters are great. They're not actors in the sense of where they've been in other things. It's all kids, 15, 16 years old, and they did a really good job, and it's pretty funny, and it's based in London, so it has that British humor. I think it's based on 80s rock / whatever type of music they were going for, futurist. Overall, I liked it. If you didn't see it, Sing Street is on Netflix right now. Go watch it. It is pretty good. At number 9, we have a movie that I wasn't sure how it was going to go about, because they were definitely raising the bar for war movies, like, oh, it's going to be the next Saving Private Ryan, blah, blah, blah. Plus, of all the backlash Mel Gibson has gotten for his past actions and all the comments he said and all the stuff he's done. But don't forget, this guy did Braveheart, Apocalypto, and that's Hacksaw Ridge. This movie was really good. It has a good 3-act structure where the very first act, you're introduced to this character and you kind of get a slight belief of his upbringing, and it just progresses throughout the movie. The second act is him in boot camp and kind of dealing with him and his fellow soldiers and how they're not going to trust him, how he's not going to touch a weapon. And then the final act is the war, the all-out, the Saving Private Ryan, Beaches of Normandy type of action, and it was intense. And the fact that you have the 3 different stories, I was compelled throughout the entire thing. I really enjoyed it. Hacksaw Ridge, number 9. Go watch it if you haven't. So at number 8, we have a movie that I love so much. I'm really surprised it's not my number 1, but the more I've watched it, the more that the flaws, the little nitpicks that I've had with this movie kind of get bigger, and bigger. Because it's like, oh my god, why would they do something so tedious and so dumb for such a tight film? With so much going on, how did they let these little things slip through the cracks? And they're just annoying to me, and it bothers me, and it kind of ruins my experience getting up to the great parts. And I'm talking about Captain America Civil War. We all know about the airport scene and all the action going on throughout the entire movie, but getting to that point, it's like, oh, the dumb stuff they do in that movie bothers me personally. So I'm really heartbroken that it's not number 1, but I love this movie still, and it's number 8 on my list. So I forgot to mention, Captain America Civil War just got entered onto Netflix. I'm not sure if it's going to stay there for a while or if it's just a holiday thing, but that's the second movie on my list that's on Netflix. And speaking of Netflix, again, we have another movie that's on Netflix that came out this year, and that's Zootopia. Number 7, we have talking animals in a Zootopia of a land where animals are like people. They're wearing clothes, they have day jobs. A bunny wants to be a cop. It fights against cliches on purpose, because it's like, oh, a sly fox, a dumb bunny, blah, 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 blah. And they play off of that, each other, and they work well together, and it's funny. It has a good story for kids. It's very compelling for adults. And overall, I have a really good time with Zootopia. Disney, catching up to Pixar. At number 6, we have a movie from a director that I really like, Denis Villeneuve, and it's a movie that I didn't really know what to expect going into it. A movie about aliens and language, and it's like, how are they going to combine the two? and it was like, oh, it could be real cheesy and real lame, but it was really intelligent and really slow paced, smartly drawn out, where it's like, we're gonna get to where we're going, but we're gonna take our time. We're not just gonna throw her into the alien Thunderdome and figure out and talk to the aliens and fight them and battle with them. No, we're going to take our time, we're going to learn the language, and we're going to fail sometimes. And it was really smart with that. And then everything that came around full circle was beautiful. If you saw the movie and you didn't understand it, that's understandable. But when you finally understand it and you didn't love this movie, at least on some level, you're crazy, because it's a great movie, and I personally love it. Number 6, 2016. All right, we're in the top 5. The reason that this movie is at number 5 is because it was hilarious. It's not supposed to be hilarious. And I'm not talking Batman, Robin, satirical, so bad it's funny hilarious. I'm talking about this movie is so realistic and it's so smart that it has funny moments when it should. It has funny moments kind of when it shouldn't. But that's what's so realistic about this movie. And I'm talking about Manchester by the Sea. It is a movie that, if you read the synopsis for this movie, you're like, oh, I'm going to be depressed and it's going to be so boring. And it wasn't. The acting was so great on a realistic level. You literally feel like you are watching a documentary, or even just peering through the looking glass and looking at people living their lives. And it's just so great. Like, there is so many awkward moments where it's just a couple people sitting in a room or standing together having a conversation, or not even talking at all. It's just so realistic. But then you have funny moments, and the banter between Casey Affleck and Lucas Hedges, the nephew, who's did fantastic, and he's a no-name, but I feel like after this movie he's going to hit it big because he did so well. I really hope he gets nominated even, because he was awesome. And Casey Affleck, man, he just knows when to bring it. It did a great job. It was really funny when it probably shouldn't have been, but it worked really well. And Manchester by the Sea, number 5. At number 4, we have another movie that was really funny, and another movie that I personally did not think was going to work. Everyone was on the bandwagon, and I was a hater, I'm not going to lie. But after seeing the movie in theaters, I loved it. I bought the Blu-ray. I've seen it multiple times. It is hilarious. It's gotten better with time as I've understood that every cliche moment that happens in the movie was done on purpose. It was satirical in the sense, it was like, kind of like a spoof superhero movie while also being a really good superhero movie, or anti-hero, whatever. But it was great in that sense. Ryan Reynolds kicked butt, literally, and Deadpool is amazing. So at number 3, we have a movie that I knew nothing about going into, which worked to my benefit. Plus, before I even heard of the movie, I never heard of the movie. And I don't know if that makes sense, but for example, Deadpool or Captain America Civil War, any of these movies, you've heard talk of like, oh, this is coming out. Before I heard anyone mention this movie, like, oh, I actually saw it and I liked it, or whatever, I had no idea this movie's coming out, never heard of it. But that's Hell or High Water. This movie is fantastic. I'm not even going to say anything about the story. I'm just going to let you know that Ben Foster and Chris Pine were terrific. You have Jeff Bridges and a guy that looks like John Roca. If you don't know who John Roca is, he's part of the Collider team and Schmoes and all that stuff. He's hilarious and it's funny because he looks just like him. But anyway, I'm going on a rant. This movie was really good. Jeff Bridges as the old cop and blah, 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 and he's grungy and all that stuff. But he's at the end of the day, he's a good police officer, and you just appreciate his work as an actor, being an officer and being a detective and being patient. Because, quote unquote, the thing that he says in the movie is, these kids, they're dumb, they're gonna slip up. So let's look for the long game. Let's wait for it. And then you have the two characters, Ben Foster and Chris Pine, and throughout the movie, you don't know. It builds up. It leads up to why they're doing what they're doing. And at first it looks dumb. It just looks like another thing. But then you start to find out more about the movie and more about the characters and more about the story. And you're like, man, this is making more sense. It's getting better and better and better. So then when you get to the end, it's just like, boom, everything makes sense. And then it resolves in a way that could have went this way, but instead it ended here, which could have been like, oh, the movie should have ended 10 minutes sooner. But this is one of the few times where it's like, those extra 10 minutes were important for the character, for the story, and Hell or High Water, I can't praise this enough. I'm sure you haven't heard of it, and I definitely am sure you probably haven't seen it. It is really good. Go to the Redbox, go to Amazon, go to wherever, rent it, buy it, go see this movie. Independent movies like this are important. We need good stories. Please, Hell or High Water, number 3. So at number 2, we have a movie that I really thought was going to be my number 1 until my number 1 pushed my number 2 out of the number 1 spot, and that is The Nice Guys. I love this movie so much. I have seen this movie so many times already. I bought the Blu-ray. I've seen it multiple times. I love this movie. It is so funny. Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe work off each other so well. The story is so original, but so... it's kind of like Deadpool, where it's like it's kind of a parody of itself, where it's like, oh, it's being the cliche moments, but then when something you think's gonna happen, it doesn't, and then it just keeps on going. And it's so much fun. The rewatchability factor for this movie is insane. It is hilarious, and it has a little less than 2 hour runtime, so it just goes by quick. It's real tight, and it happens. And like I said, Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe, their chemistry together are amazing. I don't care if they play these two characters in a series of 8 movies, or if they just play together, 2 separate characters each time, but have these two. Their chemistry was amazing. Let them do a sitcom, a TV show, HBO, CBS, I don't care. Let's put these 2 guys together. Let's just see more material. And if Shane Black writes it, that's probably going to be even better, because this movie was hilarious. The Nice Guys, number 2. All right, number 1 is a surprise for me on multiple levels. 1, everyone and their mother was praising this movie to be either the best movie of the year, Best Picture, they're number 1 on their list, whatever. So that automatically scares me, because I don't believe hype. Number 2, it's a musical. I don't like musicals. I don't even know if I like musicals. Other than The Wizard of Oz, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Lion King, and other movies that sing, watch an actual musical where they actually do song and dance numbers and what all the stuff that they do a couple times in this movie. I don't even know if I've actually seen one of those. But I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm talking about La La Land. Holy cow. Hey, Ryan Gosling, he was in my number 2 slot, he's in my number 1 slot. He's kicking butt, and I'm really enjoying him as an actor and his movies that he's bringing to the table. Plus, is the director that brought Whiplash, and I love that movie. And I don't know, I was humming the beats of the songs. You know, I'm not really a good singer, so I don't really sing it much, but Emma Stone, I'm not really the biggest fan of her as an actress, but I loved her in this movie, I loved him in this movie, I loved her and him together in this movie. I love this story, where it started, how it took its time, where it met in the middle, and then how it ended. I saw it twice already in theaters. The first time I saw it, the musical numbers at the very beginning, it was really musical heavy at the very beginning, and I wasn't necessarily bothered, but I was kind of taken off guard, because like I said, I've never really seen a musical, so I didn't know how to handle it. But the second time I saw it, it didn't bother me. Actually, I loved it. So that's why I'm definitely for sure number 1 slot, La La Land, my favorite movie, and I truly believe it's gonna get up there in my all-time favorite movie, because I love this movie. The story, the singing, the acting, everything together was beautiful to look at. La La Land, my number 1 movie of 2016, and holy cow, this list was great. This top 10 was great. I really like the movie that came out in 2016. I hope you like my list. Comment below if you saw any of these movies, if you haven't seen them, if hearing me talk about these movies kind of compelling you to see them, like Sing Street, Zootopia, Civil War, which you've probably seen, but all the movies that are on Netflix, or any movie that you've gone to the Redbox and you've rented, comment below, let me know. Let me know your top 10 list of the year if you've seen that many movies. Or let's talk about movies, because I just love it so much. 2016 is in the books. 2017, hopefully it's better. Later, guys.